Have you ever wondered why you're still burdened by the silent weight that's tearing your heart apart from within, even though you keep saying, "I believe in God"? The truth is, there's a powerful spiritual key that can turn your destiny in an instant. Yet sadly, nearly 95% of believers never truly grasp it. They choose to live in exhaustion instead of embarking on a great transformation, giving up fragile control to gain eternal peace. Are you truly free, or are you merely a prisoner desperately struggling under the guise of faith? Before we delve deeper into this secret, I want to ask honestly, how are you feeling right now? Are you tired of playing the strong persona, or are you yearning for a real escape from the storms raging within you? Let those feelings be honest, because it is when you acknowledge your weariness that we begin to find true strength. What we are about to explore is not a dry moral sermon to add to your daily to-do list. It's an enlightenment about why your life remains stagnant despite knowing the Bible by heart and singing hymns every week. The answer might hurt a little, but it's necessary. It's because you've never truly learned to let go. Deep down, we often don't surrender, but are actually negotiating with God. We're trying to sign a business contract rather than a covenant of faith. You set the terms and conditions. Lord, I will trust you, as long as you keep my finances stable, as long as the people I love are safe and sound. That's why your prayers sometimes feel like they've just taken flight, hit the ceiling and crashed to the ground. You're pretending to surrender, but your hands are still gripping the steering wheel. There's a dormant power within you, a divine power that will only be awakened when you dare to do what the crowd out there would never dare. Let go completely. Surrender isn't defeat or despair, but a decisive spiritual military act. A transfer of command to the one who rules all things. When you stop being the commander-in-chief of your own troubles, that's when the miracle begins to unfold. Are you ready to break free from that conditional contract and step into a reality where peace no longer depends on bank balances or favorable circumstances? Imagine a nearly centenarian slowly climbing Mount Moriah, his shoulders burdened not only by the bundles of firewood he carries, but by a divine request that defies all human logic. Beside him walks his only son, his hope, his promise, and his very life. Have you ever wondered what went through Abraham's mind during those 3 days of walking? 25 years of tearful waiting for a new life. And now, God says, "Give it to me." This is no longer a simple test of faith. It is a life or death battle between familial love and absolute obedience. Before we delve into the climax of this story, I want you to pause for a moment and consider, in your own life, are you climbing the mountain with a heavy burden? Are you afraid to let go of something incredibly important? Are you feeling anxious right now? Or are you ready to understand why Abraham could remain so calm in the face of such devastating adversity? The difference between Abraham and the vast majority of us lies in one crucial point. He didn't argue with God. He didn't say, "Lord, if Isaac dies, where will your promise go?" He didn't bargain. He didn't delay. Abraham obeyed because he grasped a truth we often forget. When you entrust something to God, you don't lose it. You're simply placing it in the most powerful and secure hands in the universe. Abraham believed in God's essence more than in his own limited understanding. He believed that even if Isaac had to die, God had the power to raise him from the dead. Now, be honest with yourself and perform a soul surgery. What is your Isaac? What person, dream, or circumstance is it that you cherish so much that you are unwilling to completely entrust it to God? For some, it's their job. They see it as their sole source of livelihood, instead of God as the source of all provision. The thought of losing that job or salary sends them into a panic, and anxiety becomes an uninvited daily companion. For others, it's their children. They love them so much that they become the center of their personal identity. When they make mistakes, they crumble. They inadvertently place them in a position that should belong only to God. Or is it an emotional relationship that puts your faith second and your emotional stability entirely dependent on the other person's happiness or sadness? Remember this: entrustment is not abandonment. Abraham didn't abandon Isaac, he simply offered him up. Abandonment is throwing him away, but entrustment is placing him in a better place. The very moment Abraham raised his knife, the moment he proved that God is more important than the most precious gift, God provided a ram. God didn't wait beforehand, nor did he delay afterward. He appeared right in the act of complete surrender. The divine principle here is, God doesn't take away what you entrust. He multiplies it, blesses it, and protects it in ways you could never. Are you ready to call upon the three greatest Isaacs of your life and make a specific prayer of surrender? Imagine that in just 24 short hours, the entire world you've painstakingly built crumbles completely. Your business vanishes, your finances are depleted, your investments are wiped out. But that's not the worst part. Imagine losing all your beloved children in a sudden catastrophe, and then your body is tormented by painful, humiliating diseases from head to toe. This isn't a horror movie, but the reality of Job, a man once considered the most prosperous and virtuous in the East. What would you do when cornered in despair, where even your spouse advises you to curse God and die? Before we delve into how Job turned things around, I want to pause for a moment to touch your heart. Have you ever felt that God seems silent amidst the storms of your life? Are you going through a season of loss, perhaps the loss of a loved one, an opportunity, or a loss of faith in yourself? Are you struggling to find the answer to why? Or are you feeling so exhausted you just want to give up? Be honest with your feelings, because it is in the ashes of suffering that the greatest lessons begin to sprout. The most miraculous and profound lesson from Job is the surrender of pain. Most of us easily say, "I trust in God," when things are going well, when the bills are paid and the family is happy. But Job teaches us a higher level of surrender, trusting in God's being even when we don't understand his actions. Job not only offered God prosperity, he also offered God his pain. He not only surrendered his joy, he also surrendered his deepest sorrow. He declared a statement that has resonated through the millennia. Should we receive blessings from God while not receiving calamities? Let's analyze this mentality more deeply. If your faith depends on things going your way, then you don't truly believe in God. You're only believing in favorable circumstances. If you only worship when you're happy, that's not true worship. It's merely an emotional reaction to good things. Job chose a different path: worship through suffering. He didn't demand a satisfactory explanation, he demanded a deeper connection. And here's the secret: sometimes God doesn't give you the answer, because he wants to give you himself. Job's end is a testament to divine restoration. After enduring the most bitter purification, God blessed him twice as much as he had ever received. But note, the greatest recovery wasn't the number of camels or sheep, but Job's realization that pain isn't evidence of abandonment, but rather a process of refinement. God isn't leaving you in the valley forever. He's preparing a higher peak for you on the other side of the trial. To apply this, you need to take 5 decisive steps. Stop demanding explanations. Sometimes we don't need reasons. We need a relationship. Change your language. Don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, "What does God want to teach me through this?" Worship even when in pain. Don't wait until you feel better to seek God. Choose the right companions. Be around people who strengthen your faith instead of those who add fuel to your bitterness. Expect a recovery. Believe that a glorious harvest awaits after this cold winter. Are you ready to write down the 3 words, "I believe in you," to affirm that you will not let circumstances define your faith? Imagine an ordinary morning in the small village of Nazareth. A young girl of about 15 or 16 doing her usual household chores. She's not a princess. She doesn't have a high social status. And perhaps she's harboring simple dreams of a happy wedding with a carpenter named Joseph. But in an instant, without warning, her entire world and the course of human history are completely turned upside down by a greeting from heaven. Favored one, the Lord is with you. What would you do if one fine day God suddenly appeared and asked you to abandon all the life plans you've carefully cultivated? Before we delve into Mary's fateful decision, I want to ask you a very practical question. Are you afraid of unexpected changes? Are you currently grappling with shattered plans or feeling insecure about your future? Pause for a moment to reflect on that turmoil, for it is in this uncertainty that we truly understand the value of yes. The biggest trap for modern man is analysis paralysis. We often say, "Lord, I will obey, but please show me the detailed plan. Secure my finances and prove to me that no one will misunderstand me." Mary was different. She faced a terrible risk, an unmarried pregnancy in a culture where the punishment could be death by stoning. Her honor, her family, her future with Joseph, all were on the brink of collapse. Yet her response was surprisingly quick and decisive. "I am the Lord's servant. Let it be to me as you have said." Let's analyze this deeply. Mary's obedience transcended logic. She didn't spend weeks thinking, nor did she ask for extra time to negotiate. She understood a principle we often miss. There are moments when overthinking is disobedience. There are times when excessive caution is resistance to God's will. Mary gave God a signed blank piece of paper, allowing him to write whatever he wanted on it. A revolutionary lesson for your life here is, when you say yes to God, he takes responsibility for the outcome. Look at how God provided for Mary. He sent an angel to reassure Joseph in a dream. He prepared confirmation through her cousin Elizabeth, and he protected the child from Herod's persecution. God doesn't demand all the answers. He only demands a willing heart. To have the same level of surrender as Mary, you need the courage to do these things. Stop seeking human assurances for divine tasks. God won't show you the whole path before you take your first step. Accept that obedience sometimes defies logic. If God's will always worked out in your way, why would you need faith? Understand, that God is responsible for the consequences. Your job is to obey. God's job is to make things work according to His will. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is right now. Now be honest. Is there something God is urging you to do that you're hesitating about because you're afraid of the risks? Are you ready to write down yes as a declaration of relinquishing control and stepping into your destiny? Imagine a silent, dark night in the Garden of Gethsemane, where even the air seems thick with pain. There, a man kneels, not to beg for wealth or fame, but to struggle in a fierce inner battle, his sweat falling to the ground like drops of blood. That is Jesus, standing before the bitter cup of sacrifice. Have you ever experienced a moment when your own will and the call of destiny clash so intensely that you feel your soul shattering? Before we enter these most sacred moments of this battle, I want you to pause and reflect on yourself. What is your current state of mind? Are you carrying a bitter cup within you that you only want to push away? Perhaps it's an illness, a broken heart, or an overwhelming burden of responsibility. Are you feeling afraid, exhausted, or trying to use every word to convince God to do your will? Let honesty guide you, for even the Savior experienced such a very human struggle. In Greek, the word used to describe Jesus' agony is agonia, a term originally used for athletes striving to the extreme to win. This shows that surrender is not a state of stillness or passivity, but a decisive act of will. Jesus uttered the most powerful prayer in history. Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. Let's analyze this point deeply. Surrendering doesn't mean you have to become emotionless. Jesus didn't pretend that he wanted to suffer. He was completely honest about his fear. Our biggest mistake is trying to tame our own desires to appear devout. But the lesson at Gethsemane teaches that the problem isn't having your own desires, but where you place those desires relative to God's will. Many of us are using prayers as a tool to persuade God to change his plan to fit our comfort. But true surrender only happens when prayer becomes a space for God to change your heart, not for you to change his intentions. Perhaps you're in a relationship that's not right and keep asking God to fix the other person, while deep down, he's telling you to walk away. And perhaps you're clinging to a job that's draining your soul and asking God to bless it, while he wants you to take a step of faith in a new direction. The secret lies in this. When Jesus relinquished his own will to accept the cross, he not only redeemed humanity, but also entered into a glorious resurrection. Complete surrender always leads to heavenly ascension. The cross is the end of the ego, but the beginning of the power of resurrection. To practice the spirit of Gethsemane, you need to take these 5 steps. 1. Acknowledge your true desires. Don't hide your feelings. Say, Father, I'm afraid I want this. 2. Ask the difficult question, if God says no, will I still say yes to him? 3. Identify control. Are you trying to persuade God, or are you letting him transform you? 4. Renew your surrender each day. Start your morning with, not my will, but yours. 5. Remember that resistance doesn't eliminate you. Even Jesus struggled. What matters is the final outcome, your choice to obey. Are you ready to write down the words, "Not my will, but His will," for your most desperate situation right now? Have you ever confidently believed you were on the right track, achieving success and earning the respect of society, only to suddenly realize one day that everything you've worked so hard to build is actually completely contrary to the truth? Imagine you're at the pinnacle of power, but in an instant, a blinding light causes you to fall and realize you've been living a life of error all along. This is the moment of Saul on the road to Damascus, the moment when the most aggressive persecutor became the greatest apostle. Before we explore this dramatic final chapter, I want to ask honestly, how are you feeling right now? Are you proud of your achievements, but deep down feel empty? Or are you carrying the burden of past mistakes and feeling unworthy of God's favor? Be honest with yourself, for it is precisely when you realize the meaninglessness of old values that a new destiny begins to be written. This final point is not just about change, but about an identity swap. Saul was not a skeptic or indifferent. He was a religious fanatic, an ambitious intellectual with status. He thought he was serving God by persecuting believers, but in reality he was rebelling against Him. When the light from heaven struck him to the ground, his first question was not, "Why me?" but a question of absolute surrender. "Lord, what do you want me to do?" Let's analyze this point deeply. True transformation is not a gradual negotiation, but an instantaneous surrender. Paul did not ask for more time for reflection or psychological counseling. He immediately relinquished his reputation, status, network of connections, and even the pride of a brilliant scholar. From that moment, he was no longer Saul the persecutor, but Paul the servant. One of the most valuable lessons Paul left behind lies in the concept of gain and loss. In his letter to the Philippians, he uses a very strong Greek word, gubalon, meaning rubbish or even excrement, to describe everything he had previously considered valuable: education, family background, personal achievements. Why? Because when placed alongside the glory of knowing Christ, everything else becomes worthless. Are you clinging to pride, to the label of who I am, in the eyes of society? Are you letting past mistakes or old hurts become barriers, preventing you from coming closer to the Lord? Look at how God used Paul. He didn't erase his past, but transformed his scars into sermons, turning misguided zeal into devotion to the gospel. Before encountering the Lord, Paul lived by religion, working to gain acceptance. After surrendering, he lived by relationships, being accepted and then working. To experience the radical transformation like Paul's, you need to take these 5 illogical steps. 1. Acknowledge dissatisfaction. Accept that status or power can never fill the void in your soul. 2. Name the things you need to consider junk. List the things that are preventing you from completely surrendering to God: pride, comfort, or fame. 3. Decide now, not later. Surrender leaves no room for delay. 4. Prepare for resistance. When you change, the old world will react, but remember that the heavenly reward is far greater. 5. Transform pain into purpose. Let God use your past mistakes to comfort and guide others. We have journeyed together from Abraham's Mount Moriah, Job's ashes, Mary's obedience, Jesus' bitter cup, to Paul's Damascus road. All lead to one conclusion. When you surrender everything to God, you lose nothing. you receive your destiny. After experiencing these 5 great stories, we understand that surrender is not a fleeting emotion, but a decision of will. Use these words as a declaration for your new journey. 1. I acknowledge that my own strength is limited, and trying to control everything only brings anxiety. 2. I choose to place my Isaac, the one I cherish most, into God's hands, believing He is a better protector than I am. 3. I accept the bitter cup and the incomprehensible aspects of adversity, believing that God is refining me for a greater purpose. 4. I am willing to say yes to the calls of destiny, even when they don't align with logic or my own safety. 5. I consider my past achievements as rubbish in exchange for knowing Christ, ready for Him to rewrite a new identity for my life. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and a journey of surrender begins with letting go. Don't let this knowledge remain merely listening for pleasure. Let it permeate your very being and transform your reality. God doesn't need your perfection. He only needs your willingness. Of the 5 figures we just analyzed, Abraham, Job, Mary, Jesus, Paul, who do you see yourself most like in this current stage of your life? And what Isaac are you deciding to let go of today? Leave your comments below. Each of your heartfelt reflections is not only a way for you to affirm your faith, but also an inspiration for others who are struggling just like you. We will take time to read and pray with you. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. This isn't just a button, it's a way to join a community of people who long to live a life of surrender and radiant divine power. Let's continue this journey together. God bless you.